So, beginning of 2005, about 2 weeks into January, I decided to just up and move to Vegas. Um, Things weren't going too good in California. I lost my job. Um, Actually, I quit my job because I was doing some shit I wasn't supposed to be doing. So I quit my job, and times was rough, man. I was living with my brother and my older cousin at the time in an apartment, and our lease was up. So uh, he moved. I think my cousin moved with his girlfriend or something. And my brother and I, we moved back home with our mom. And I was like tired of that shit, dude. Like, mom was like hounding me and shit about me getting a job, this and that. And I didn't want to hear that shit. So I said, you know what? Fuck it, man. I'm just going to move to Vegas. So I got in my little, I had a 89 Civic, little EF. And so I hopped up in my Civic, and uh, it could only go above 3,500 RPM too, because it was like a wiring harness issue. So I hopped up in there. I drove down to my homie's mechanic shop, and I sold one of the mechanics my radio that I had in my car for like 20 bucks. So I had like $70 to my name. I put gas in my car, and it was like $20 to fill it up or something because gas back then was still under $2 a gallon. So I filled my car up, drove my ass all the way to Vegas. Took me like 6 hours to get there to Vegas, and my homie Chris, he followed me, man. He followed me up there to make sure I got up there safe. And he had family up there. His girlfriend's mom lived up there, so they fed me, let me take a shower, and I slept over there for the night. But by the morning time, it was like, okay, yeah, get your ass up out of here. So I left, man, and at that point, I had like $50, almost $50 to my name, and so I'm driving around the whole city of Vegas. I'm trying to learn this place. I'm like, okay, I'm up here now. What the fuck am I gonna do? So I end up finding one of my homeboys. He had did the same thing. He had moved out to Vegas, and but he had a little better plan than I did. He moved out to Vegas, and he got a good job out there, and he had his family out there, and everything. He was doing well. So I found out where he was living, and then I went over to his house and said, "Hey, man, you think I could stay with you for a little while?" And then he shut my ass down, dude. He was like, "Nah, B, I got my fam here. They don't really know you, and I'm sorry, but I can't do it." So I was like, "Okay." I'm thinking like, "Damn, this motherfucker man, he's supposed to be my boy," but he just said, "Fuck you." That was my attitude. So I ended up, like I said, driving around. At the time, I smoked cigarettes too, so I was spending my money on cigarettes stupidly instead of food, how it was supposed to be. And I would be smoking cigarettes or whatever, not eating, lost a whole bunch of weight, man. And then I finally found a temp agency, but only thing I had on me was my driver's license. I didn't have a social security card, birth certificate, none of that stuff. It was all back in California. And so I went to them, tried to get work, and it was like, "Hey, you need your social, dude." So I was like, "Well, I don't have it. I'm from California, and I just moved out here. I don't have my social." And they're like, "Okay, this is what we can do. You can go down to the Social Security office. You can use our address as your home address, so they can mail it here, and then we can get you to work, tomorrow if there's work." So I'm like, "All right, bet, cool." So I was doing that for about a week or so, um, living in my car, sleeping on the streets, and cold as fuck too. It's real fucking cold. Like I feel like I got like frostbite on my feet, uh, which I probably did, man. Sleeping in my car, but I ended up catching a break. I ended up um, getting a job doing construction, like delivering windows, installing windows and stuff. And uh, I did that for a couple months, man. And actually, I got caught up because the HR lady, she saw me sleeping in my car one morning, and she came to me and was like, "Hey, I need to see you after work." So I'm like, "Fuck, man, I'm fired as fuck." But she actually offered me a place to stay, and I was living with her for the duration that I had that job, which is up until about it was like March, like beginning of March, like March 1st or something like that. So after I lost that job, because they were like downsizing, and I was one of the newest employees, so my black ass had to go. So they cut me from that job, and I was like, "Fuck, man, what am I gonna do now?" Like I hadn't been saving no money or nothing, like because I wasn't getting paid shit really. So I couldn't really save nothing. I was spending it on food, cigarettes, like an idiot, stuff like that. So once again, I'm back on the street. So I'm driving around, can't find a job. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I'm like, you know what, dude? Fuck, man. Like, I gotta do something. So I'm driving around. I'm like, I'm just gonna join the fucking military. Fuck it. Join the military. Gotta do something. So I'm driving around. I'm like, whatever fucking recruiting station I find, that's the one I'm going to. So I'm driving around Vegas for hours, can't find shit. And then I finally find a fucking National Guard recruiting station. So I walk up in that bitch and I'm like, hey, I want to join the military. I want to go now. I want to leave today. Let me know what I got to do to make that happen. So like, whoa, whoa, pump your brakes, nigga. Like the steps we got to take. So my recruiter, he saw me like I had dirty ass clothes on. I probably smelled like shit. I had a scruffy ass beard. He saw me and he was like, hey, so keep it real with me. Like, are you homeless right now? I'm like, yeah, I'm homeless. Like, I came from California. Told him my whole story. So he's like, okay, first things first. Did you graduate high school? So no, I didn't graduate high school. But I have, yeah, I didn't graduate high school. He says, okay, well, we need a diploma or a GED. Are you willing to get a GED? I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to get a GED. So he took me down. I forgot where it was, what part of Vegas it was, um, to get my birth certificate first, because I had to do that first. And then he ended up, so then he ended up having, it's like an E4 or something. He had one of the E4s take me to Utah, like the very next day, to get my GED, to Dixie State College. So I took the test for that, passed it, got my GED, came back, took the ASVAB and everything, passed the ASVAB, and after that, I had to set up my bank account. And my recruiter, he gave me like $300 to set up my bank account. Did that. Um, he really took care of me, man. And after that, bank account set up, that was pretty much the last thing that we had to do. So then we went over my contract and everything, and or not my contract, we went over the jobs that I was qualified for. So I picked the jobs that I wanted, and he was like, okay, now we got to get you to MEPS and everything. So I go to MEPS and I do all that, and everything at MEPS goes well. So then after that, I come back and I finally get a hold of my mom, because I hadn't talked to my mom that whole time. It had been like 3 months that I hadn't talked to my mom. I call her and she just starts bawling and crying, like, where have you been? What's going on? Like, I missed you. Like, why did you just up and leave and not tell me nothing? I feel like shit, man. Because I did it to myself. Like, I made myself homeless, and it was just crazy. Like, but it ended up being like one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, because without me doing that, I wouldn't have a lot of stuff that I have right now, and I wouldn't be where I am in life hadn't I done that. But it was still not a smart move for me to just leave like that and not say nothing to nobody. So we're talking and everything. She's like, "Well, I want to see you. Like, when do you ship out to your training or whatever?" And I told her when I shipped out. So she's like, "Okay, I want to see you at least for a week." So she bought me a ticket, and I flew out. I flew out back to California, and they picked me up and spent time with everybody. Everybody was happy to see me and stuff, and let them know I was in the military, and they were surprised. Cause I mean, growing up, I always wanted to be a paramedic, um, like, cause I wanted to be in the service of helping people, something noble. You know what I mean? But I kind of lost that dream along the way somewhere, and decided to join the military instead. And mind you, when I joined, man, I didn't know anything about the military whatsoever. I knew there was an army, I knew there was Marines and Navy and stuff like that, but I didn't know how it worked, or I didn't know what National Guard was, what Reserve, Active Duty. I didn't know what none of that crap was. So uh, after I spend my time with them, I fly back to Vegas, and I'm not supposed to report back to my recruiter until like the following day. So I didn't have a phone on me, and I didn't have my recruiter's number. I didn't memorize his number. So I walked. I walked from the airport, excuse me, the airport all the way to the recruiting station. It was like it had to be at least 5 miles that I was just mobbing, and it was cold. And I finally get there, and there's a bar. There's a bar there right across the street. Mind you, I was 19 years old, and I walk in, and I guess I looked older because I had a beard and everything. And I walk in, and I order me some shrimp, and I'm eating my shrimp, and he's like, "Hey, do you want something to drink with that?" And I'm like, kind of want a beer right now. But I'm like, "Nah, that's cool." So then, because I knew he was gonna card me, so then I kind of tested the waters, and I just slid a 20 in the machine to gamble. So I'm playing blackjack and I'm gambling my ass off, and then I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? Let me get a beer. Let me get a Heineken." So he brings one over. Doesn't card me or nothing because he sees I'm gambling. I'm just winning mad money. Like I end up going up like $600, and I'm feeling good and everything is going great. By this time I'm 6 Heinekens in, and I hadn't drank in a long time, so I was trashed at that point. And uh, so by this time it's already like 6 o'clock in the morning. So I stumble over to the recruiter's office, and he finally shows up, and he's like, "Okay, now we got to take you over to your unit, and you got to talk to somebody over there. I forgot who it was. It was an E8. I forgot his name though. Got to talk to him before you ship out." So we get over there to the unit, and he's like, "Has this soldier taken a PT test?" And they sent the specialist. My recruiter didn't go because I guess he knew what was going to happen. They sent the E4 over there, and he's like, "Did you take a PT test?" And the E4 is like, "I don't know, Master Sergeant." And he asked me, "You take a PT test?" I'm like, "I don't know what that is." So he's like, "Oh, okay, here we go. So you got to take a PT test." And I'm like, "Well, what is that?" And he explained to me what was happening, what was about to happen. So then I had to do my push-ups, my sit-ups, and then my run. And mind you, when I joined the military, I was weak as fuck, dude. I think I barely passed that little bullshit PT test that they gave me. And on the run, like I ended up throwing up because I was still drunk, man, from the beers that I had. So I ended up throwing up, and I felt like horrible. But after that, I passed. You know what I'm saying? I passed the test, and then they shipped me to the airport, and I had my itinerary and everything, and it was a couple of us. Uh, it was a couple of us over there, and we were all talking about where we're going, this and that, and everything. And I ended up going to Fort Knox in Kentucky for my basic training. But yeah, that's basically the story of how and why I joined the military. Um, that's it. I was out of desperation. I was homeless and hungry and didn't know what I was gonna do with my life. Had no clue uh, where my next meal was coming from or anything like that. So I joined the military.